Let me show you how to make possibly the easiest frosting on my website. It uses less sugar than buttercream typically uses, and it's really silky and smooth, yet it still pipes beautifully. It works great under fondant, it's beautiful on cupcakes, and it's not too sweet. Let's start with, of course, our butter. I'm going to be using 1 cup of salted butter today. If you only have unsalted on hand, you're just going to add 1/4 teaspoon of table salt to the recipe. All right, now before we start adding any sugar, I'm going to beat this with an electric mixer until it's smooth and creamy. You can absolutely make this recipe with a stand mixer. You would just use the paddle attachment, but today I'm just going to be using my electric hand mixer. Let's go ahead and mix this up. All right, beating your butter until it's nice and smooth and creamy is always a good idea anytime you are making a recipe that uses powdered sugar. It's going to keep it from flying all over your kitchen, as mine sometimes does. We're going to add this powdered sugar gradually. I'm going to add like a 1/2 cup at a time to start, and we'll just beat this in on low speed. I used to hate making frosting because I would end up with powdered sugar everywhere, all over me, all over the counter. It's really just about making sure your butter is nice and smooth and gradually adding the sugar. Now, I think I mentioned this is a little bit less sugar than typical buttercream. We're only using 3 cups of powdered sugar for this recipe. It's not drastically different from a buttercream, and I guess technically it even falls into that category, but it is different than the buttercream frosting on my website, so I just usually differentiate it that way. A little bit less sweet, a little bit more silky. Add a bit more. And when you first add the sugar and start mixing it, the frosting looks dry and crumbly, but as you continue to beat it, that butter absorbs the sugar and it looks a lot smoother. All right, our last bit of powdered sugar, and we just have 2 other ingredients to add. Before I go any further, I do want to scrape the sides and bottom of the bowl just to make sure everything really is well incorporated and smooth and lump-free, and there are no butter pieces that haven't been mixed with the sugar or any streaks of powdered sugar. We're looking pretty good here. Again, that's especially important if you're using a stand mixer. Sometimes the butter or sugar likes to sit on that little divot at the very bottom. This looks great, so now let's add our flavoring. It's a vanilla frosting, so we're going to be adding vanilla extract, and you'll need 1 teaspoon for this recipe. My homemade vanilla, so you can see those little vanilla bean flecks floating in there, which I love. Just adds a nice touch. I think it's so pretty. So I'll mix in the vanilla, but wait, there's more. I'm also going to show you how to pipe this frosting and make it look pretty on a cupcake, even if you're not a good decorator. But before we do that, we're going to add our cream. You'll need 3 tablespoons of heavy cream for this recipe, and we're just going to drizzle in 1 tablespoon at a time while stirring on low speed. And it's okay if you have to just add the tablespoon and then mix. I'm usually not good at multitasking. Just incorporate the first one, incorporate the 2nd tablespoon, and our 3rd tablespoon of cream. All right, once you have the cream incorporated, we're going to turn up our speed to high, and we're just going to whip it for 30 seconds to really introduce some nice light creaminess into the frosting. It gives it a really nice texture. All right, this frosting colors really well, especially if you're using a gel food coloring, which is my preference. So if you want to color it, just add that here and stir it in until it's nice and uniform. So here we have like a really nice, smooth, silky frosting. If yours is looking really bubbly, like maybe you whipped a little bit too much air into it, just use your spatula to press it against the sides of the bowls, and that will deflate any of those air pockets in there. But usually after those 30 seconds, it's the perfect texture and it's not really bubbly or anything. So let me show you real quickly how easy it is to decorate cupcakes and have them look beautiful and professional, even if you're not a pro decorator, which I certainly do not consider myself to be one. First, let's talk about your piping bag. You want a nice large piping bag. I get these on Amazon. And if you're not a pro decorator, the piping tip you use is going to make all the difference in the world. I've decorated so many sloppy cupcakes, but getting a large closed star piping tip made a huge difference. This is the Attico 846. I also really love the 847 and 848. Those are both a little bit larger, but the 846 works really well too. If you're trying to fill a piping bag and you only have 1 set of hands, just point the tip up, put it in a large cup or other container, and just fold the sides over. And it's very easy to fill the piping bag with 1 hand. And these are 18-inch piping bags, which is what I usually use when I need to put frosting in a piping bag. I will try to remember to link to those in the description in case that's helpful. This recipe makes enough frosting to generously frost 12 cupcakes. It will also cover a 13x9 cake or 2-layer 8-inch or 2-layer 9-inch round cake. It also doubles very well in case you need to frost more than that. Bench scraper makes it really easy to work that frosting down. I've had a lot of people do these fancy tricks where they like cut the bag and tie the bag. To me, that's a little bit more trouble than it's worth. Just make sure you scooch your frosting down in the bag so you have enough space that when you twist it, the frosting moves down. You don't lose any up here, and it's not going to overflow onto your hands. Just twist it. That works really well, honestly. And as I mentioned, this frosting pipes really well. So let me show you exactly how it looks. The 846 makes this really pretty. You can do those nice tall swirls, or you can do smaller rosettes, and it looks pretty without really any effort required. It's much better than trying to use a small tip or just trying to smear it on top of the cupcake. That's it. That is how you make my favorite vanilla frosting. I consider it my better than buttercream, even though it's still kind of really buttercream. I hope you enjoy it. If you try it, let me know what you think. I really do always love hearing from you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. I'm not ready for a full cupcake. Let's just try this frosting. The texture, the flavor, it is better than buttercream. I like my buttercream too though, but this is great. Creamy. I've had lots of, I don't know, is that too much?